We're joined once again this week by Rodych-Eberle. Lauren is joining us from Seattle this year, made a move across the country and having to deal with all kinds of fun things, dealing with relocating and activities for your kids, which we talked about last week. But this week, Lauren, we're going to switch it up a little bit and talk a little bit about healthy eating. I know this is huge for you. Following your social media, you always have really good ideas and recipes. So what are some good resources for recipes, Lauren, if people are looking for information for their toddlers, just even to change things up from a normal routine and get some good ideas?
Of course, yeah. So I say that kids can eat the same thing we do with maybe just some slight adjustments if they're young and they don't have all their teeth and that kind of thing. But really, with my daughter Collins, I have her eating what we're eating, but I'm not a nutritionist, so I love to try and look at as many resources for healthy eating as I can. So online is really good for that if you can scout out good ones. Two that I want to mention that I really love, a Canadian one is Bloom Nutrition. So or on Instagram, it's at your Bloom Nutrition. So they should definitely check that one out. And then an American one is Kids Eat in Color. So that's a really fun one as well. So they give some great tips on how to eat healthy, but also how to create a good relationship around food.
How do you know if your child is eating healthy? I mean, you obviously would go in with the best intentions, but is there something that you can do, or are there some sort of markers that you can follow to make sure that your child is in fact eating healthy? Because I know even if you look at ingredients, sometimes you can be tricked on things that you think are healthy, but actually aren't.
Right. I don't know. Probably a lot of people have heard that thing about walking the perimeter of the grocery store. And that doesn't always work for every grocery store now because they're all set up differently. But a lot of the times, if you're trying to buy and make the things that mostly don't have a label on them, those are the things you want to be looking at. So if you're looking in the produce section, the meat section, that kind of thing, if you pick up an avocado, it's not going to have a label on it, right? So that's, I think, how I kind of try and gauge as well. And I also want to, when I am buying something with a label, look that there's not too many ingredients on it and that I can understand every ingredient on it. So those are some of my big takeaways.
And now, obviously, as hard as we try, kids aren't going to be eating healthy all of the time. And it is, a lot of people do want to give them treats. So what do you do for treats? Are there some special things that you do? And how often do you allow Collins to have treats, or does it just really kind of depend on the day?
So my goal was to not really bring too much refined sugar into Colin's diet until after at least 2. But now that she's a year and a half, she's getting to the point where she's asking for certain foods that we're eating or that she's seen. So if we're eating something now that's a little bit of a treat, we do offer her some of it. But we also are trying to, like I said, create a healthy relationship around food. So we're not going to say a food is good or bad. It might just be a sometimes food. And it also is really good with kids. You kind of see the best of yourself, and the worst of yourself is that you try and do things that you want to instill in your kids. So it probably makes us eat a little healthier as well, so that we're showing her how to do that.
A lot of moms are busy these days. They've got all kinds of things to do and they're taking kids to appointments and such. How do you find ways to have healthy snacks that you can take on the go? Because it's really easy to grab that prepackaged bag of chips or some candy instead of going for healthy. So how do you do this if you've got a whole bunch of things to do in the day and you still want to make sure you've got something healthy for your kids to eat?
Yes, I try and prep food so that it's already ready and easy to grab. And for everyone, that's going to look a little different. I have asked other parents what they do for that. Some people like to pick one day on the weekend where they prep everything. Some people prefer to prep at night, but just kind of scheduling in some time where you can wash and chop some veggies and fruit, or even some other healthy, like even if it's cheese, and having the cheese already sliced up and ready to go, because that actually is a really great food for kids as well. Then you have that ready, it's already in your containers, and then you're more likely to grab that than, like you said, the packaged chips.
Well, Lauren, thank you so much for speaking with us today. And if anybody is looking for information or they want some ideas for some of the things that we discussed with you, what's the best way to find you, Lauren?
They can find me at laurenrodych-eberle.com or on Instagram at laurenrodych-eberle.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you as always.